Hi, friends. 1 Corinthians 12, verse 5 and forward. It says, "Therefore there are differences of ministries, but the same Lord. There are diversities in activities, but the same God who works in all. But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to each one for the profit of all." So basically, I just wanted to say how each one of us has our own gift. It says here for verse 8, "For to one is given the word of wisdom through the Spirit, to another the word of knowledge through the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healing by the same Spirit, to another working of miracles, to another prophecies, to another discerning spirits, to another different kinds of tongues, to another interpretation of tongues. But one and the same Spirit works all these things, distributing to each one individually as he wills." Okay, so basically in the body of Christ, there's a bunch of different people, brothers and sisters that have different ministries, different talents, we can say. So when we use our talents, the ones that we have, and we release them, obviously they're your own talents, right? But it's for the benefit of everyone. So I was just coming across this, and I thought it was kind of interesting how sometimes we expect to receive same gifts as other people, but we don't realize our own gifts. I'm like, how do I contribute to the body of Christ? How do we all come together as one, you know, and be united and be on the same page and have the same mind of Christ in all things. So Christ was balanced. So now check this out. We're reading Corinthians, right? So Corinthians was written by Paul. All right. Paul, he was his personality before converting, before Jesus came to him, right? He was out for blood. He wanted to kill the Christians. He was so adamant about it. Once God's changed his heart, changed his mind, changed his persona, he wrote these. He understood. He went through all these other things that Jesus went through, and he learned through that from there forward how to change his mindset, right? So a lot of times we have to do the same thing. We can probably come off as Paul because we say God spoke to us, but our previous, let's just say our character is a very strong personality. We have let's just say we're aggressive or bossy, or let's say we had a problem with pride or anger before, and we still have those traits when we're in the body of Christ. And God is using us because he can use anybody, right? But in order to become one with the body, we have to come together in the Spirit, all of it. Even though we're all doing our own little parts, collectively, we're going to have to come to one agreement. We're going to have to get together and just basically have one understanding of all of it. That's the key. So the reason I say this is because I was reading James. Now, James was the brother of Jesus. Very big difference between Paul and James. James was born around Jesus his whole life. He was his brother or stepbrother, right? So James knew Jesus, and that's why he was with him throughout, even like when he was crucified, and then he wrote the book of Revelation. He wrote James. He had a very different demeanor than Paul, and you can tell it by its writings. Now, as we read James, I want to just go James 1. The whole chapter is awesome. You got to read it, but with the mentality of understanding that James grew up with Jesus. He grew up with him. He walked with him. He hung out with him. He knew him. So whatever he says, kind of take that, and we're just going to go a few verses, but take that and see how that can be ministered or applied to your ministry or your persona. All right. So when you speak Jesus, how are you speaking? All right. So James 1 verse 2, it says, "My brothers, count it all joy when you fall through various trials." You know what joy means? Happy. He's like, be happy when you're going through various trials. That one verse right there, you can understand how James was like, yeah, count it all happy when you're going through trials. That's God. Just thinking about how he would think, or how he observed Jesus when he was being crucified. We come across it and we think a lot of times when we have problems, it's all doom and gloom. I'm gonna give you, for instance, like just this week, I had 3 family members: my wife, my mom, and my sister, all very close to me, right? All in the hospital at the same time at different hospitals, and I had to admit 2 of them. All right, so that was a lot of tribulations. And here's the interesting thing: I wasn't, like, why me? Oh God, I wasn't feeling sorry for myself. I wasn't a victim. I was tired. I gotta admit that. But what I'm saying is, I had this joy, like literally, I felt it, and the Spirit actually led me before this even happened to fast. So I did a dry fast 3 days prior to this event happening. I didn't know it was gonna happen, but boom, all of a sudden, all these things just pop up. So I know it wasn't a coincidence, but through fasting and praying, I was able to like get through it, and I still have my sanity. So verse 3 says, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. All right, so patience, joy, patience is another quality. Faith. So in the moment when you're going through these trials, it seems like it's forever. So you have to keep going through and not giving up. Sometimes you may be questioning God. Are you here? Is it like, where are you? But you keep going. You go with joy, faith, and patience. It says, verse 4, and let the patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. So, it's just pretty interesting how James is like saying this to the 12 tribes of Israel, so that you can be perfect. You can be made complete, lacking nothing. And then it goes on talking about how we need to pray for wisdom if we need it, and God will give it to us. But I thought that was just an interesting point. I really just wanted to share that, how it's important for us to have the mind of Christ, and so that it reflects in our daily activities as we're walking. We're in this world, right? So you know what's going around. You know the mark of the beast. You know what's going to happen. We have no control over that. All right. What are you going to do? Stop walking? Stop going to the store? What do you stop? You can't. We're in it. So, but when you realize how the scriptures play in, and we kind of like keep a balanced view of everything and understanding, you're gonna see how God moves things, and how he, when you do your part, when you actually have the faith that God's gonna come through, it's just gonna make you stronger. It's gonna make you happy. You're gonna really have the fruitage of the Spirit, and you're gonna be a difference. You can be able to say a message without being, without insulting. Obviously, it may insult them either way, but if your demeanor is not of joy or happiness, or bitter, let's just say you're bitter and angry all the time, and you speak like that, it's just you can kind of understand how James was. His demeanor, it reflected Christ and why he said that. So when you read the book of James, think about how he walked with Christ, and it may make you kind of reevaluate, how we speak, and how we walk and how we think. And it's just for the better, so that we, as the body of Christ, can come together as one, not bickering, not fighting, not thinking, oh, you're so strict or you're so harsh, No, none of that. It's like we got to come together as one in agreement. And that's the whole point. That's what Christ is looking for. A bride of Christ that is without wrinkle, spot, or blemish. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Till next time.